One of the biggest growth levers for most brands is cross-selling, but all too often brands fall into the pattern of just focusing on awareness and brand equity. Such is the case with this beloved brand Poopourri that we've all come to know and love and use in our bathrooms. But what about the people who don't know about Poopourri? And what about the people who love Poopourri and want to buy more of it? These were some of the opportunities that we discovered in this deep dive of the Poopourri listing. Let's go.
Daniela here from Mindful Goods. I am a super fan and excited to share some insights with you. This is a typical process that we walk brands through so they can understand the conversion funnel on Amazon. We work with 150 brands every year, but essentially the way the conversion funnel works is search, click, buy. People search for something specific on Amazon, they see results, and they will click on the one that is most enticing to them. And then once they click, they are going to hopefully buy your product. So we need to optimize at every single stage of that funnel. We are specifically testing different variables off of Amazon and on Amazon. So we run split tests as we're designing, and then we're also running split tests on manager experiments. And so about 83% of our clients over the last year have seen an increase in sales after working with us. More than 50% of brands are seeing anywhere from 20 to 1100% increases in sales. Let's jump into SEO insight. This is where we are trying to make sure that you are getting found.
So just pulling up some quick brand analytics here, what is standing out to me the most is that Poopourri is dominating as far as brand awareness. People know the Poopourri brand. When they search for these unrelated Poopourri terms for like toilet spray or anything related to toilet spray, Poopourri is coming up first and being clicked on a significant portion of the time. For the ones that are falling less than 15%, I was taking a look at those and seeing if there's any rhyme or reason to what could help those conversion shares improve. But you'll also notice all I did was type in a general search term like toilet spray, and what comes up in the search terms is so many keywords related to Poopourri. So it's almost like Poopourri is becoming the Kleenex of toilet spray. So obviously it's incredible and well done there. The next thing that I did is I'm pulling in the master keyword list from Data Dive. So I just ran a quick dive to understand, when I search for toilet spray on Amazon, who is selling the most. And obviously Poopourri is first and foremost one of the top brands selling for toilet spray, but the only one that's really competitive is Febreze. And so I pulled in these two Febreze listings just to kind of see how they stack up against the Poopourri listing, because we know Poopourri is doing really well with its brand awareness. People know the brand, they know the name, they know what they're searching for. They click on it majority of the time, they buy the product. But what about people who don't know the product or are looking for something? Is Poopourri showing up for them? And so what this is saying is that of all the keywords related to this type of product on page one, Poopourri only has 24% of them, whereas Febreze has 96% on this one and 97% on this one. So very strong in relation to, in terms of SEO, there's some work to be done here. But overall, I wouldn't say it's in bad shape. It just kind of needs a little bit of a facelift. The other thing is you'll notice the share of voice percentage on page one is relatively low just compared to these two. And that's directly related to your SEO. So I would say there's definitely some room for improvement here on the SEO front.
So what you can see from that analysis is that you can actually pull some of those broader keyword terms or longer tail keywords into different areas of your listing. You can drop it into your title. If we look at your listing here, you can see that your title is a little bit light. You could even play around with putting something like the before you go more towards the tail end or removing it. That could be an easy split test, but you could replace it with some of those other keyword searches that are going to help bring in the type of buyers that are maybe searching for this product that maybe don't know about Poopourri, because obviously you are the dominating product in the market. Most people are going to know you like a Kleenex, but there's still some work to do in terms of bringing in new customers that maybe don't know. For instance, I live in Peru and people don't know about Poopourri yet. And so if any people from outside the country are moving into the US, you want to get them to know, like, and trust your product, right? So in order to get in front of them on Amazon, we need to make sure that you're still showing up where there's other keywords and that you're not just purely relying on your brand name that has so much equity now. The way that we do that is by building in those other keywords throughout those places in your listing. So making sure that they're built into your title, into your bullets, into your alt text on your A+ content. So we go take a look at that. For example, we scroll down here and use my little handy tool. What we can see is when we hover over these banners, we have some of your keywords right here, but these are keywords that were already used in your listing above. These aren't the longer tail keywords that your competitors are using, these more broader keywords that we could be implementing into your copy. If you look at this banner here, it just says banner 2A. So that's a complete missed opportunity. It doesn't have any keywords associated with this image as well. Here you have lavender vanilla. That doesn't help either. What we want is to make sure that your alt text does a combination of helping people that are visually impaired, but also baking in more of those keywords that are going to help you get found in more of those broader search results that maybe aren't searching for something as simple as toilet spray. That is how you can increase the reach of your SEO. Now, when you build these in, some of these you might be using them in your ads, but one of the best practices that you want to do is also build them into your creative, because now Rufus is pulling from those, and those creatives are going to be the way that people are also reinforced with those keywords in their buying decisions. That's just a best practice that we would want to try to start to build these into your visuals. So jumping into step number 2, after you've gotten found by baking in all of your SEO and you're showing up as much as you can in those search results. How do we make sure that people are clicking on your main image and going into your listing instead of your competitors or any of the other smaller brands that are popping up, right? Like, how do we keep the interest on Poopourri? This step is all about grabbing attention. What we want to be doing is making sure that we are adding elements that are helping our main image get all the attention in the search results. Things like reducing white space, adding eye candy, testing photos versus renders, adding callouts like textual callouts, badges, and then split testing these to make sure that they are working. If we take a look at the search results and scroll down to look at the different toilet spray options, the great thing is you're dominating. The bad thing is that there's nothing playful or interesting to capture my attention. If we look at something like this, our product is just a standalone product. This looks boring and lonely. But if we did something fun next to it, like with your packaging, there's a lot that you could do with the packaging to help this stand out, right? Like, you don't have to use this exact version of this packaging. You could really close this up and seal it. You could bake on more keywords so you're showing up more in search. You could test different badges, like these badges that are on the side. You could pull them to the front of the box. A good example of this is a client that we worked with, Best Pets for Life. If you look at their main images, you can see here, we've got this fun little cat coming out. Every single one has a different cat, by the way. It matches what's on the packaging, which is fun. Every single one has these little badges that are grabbing your attention. And so if you were looking for this brand the same way that you would look for Poopourri, you would want Poopourri to show this consistency across the board and just be like completely branded and fun across the page. You'd want to be thinking through what are the elements that you could do. Now, the other thing that you'll notice is that they're also using their main functional keyword on top of their packaging. It's the number one thing you can read from this view without even clicking in. You'll be able to read this on desktop and on mobile. So people are searching by function, which this brand knows that people do. You will show up in the search. What you would want to do to learn from this example would be to take any of those broader search terms that you know people are searching for, but maybe you're not showing up for, maybe you're targeting with PPC, and start baking those onto the top of your packaging. These are just fun, different ways that you can help optimize with your SEO on your main image. So some of the recommendations that I have for you on this one are to test those badges, play around with the packaging, and add some eye candy to make it a little bit more interesting and branded across search. And fun fact on main images, this is something that we did an isolated test for one of our clients, Yes Bar. And when we split tested their main image, within 2 weeks, they saw an 11.8% increase in click-through traffic. This is one of the biggest low-hanging fruits that I love for brands to explore. So moving on to step number 3 in our conversion funnel. Once we've gotten found in search and we've gotten them to click on our main image, how are we then getting them to convert? Once they're inside, we need to answer all of their questions and make sure that we are getting them to add to cart. So how do we do that? One of the biggest ways we do this at Mindful Goods is making sure that every single image is showing and telling and guiding shoppers through that buying process. We do that in the carousel with the product images, and we do that with a landing page style design in the A+ content. So to show you an example of what I mean, if we pop over to this example with the Best Pet, what we want to make sure is that we are guiding the buyer through this process with our product images and the showing and telling on every single image. We're walking through the benefits. We're explaining the before and after. We are showing what it's recommended for. We're guiding them through the directions of use, showing them how big or small the product is. These are the things that we need to be doing to guide the shopper through the buying process. But you'll notice that on every single listing, we have the same consistent flow across our imagery so that it feels very branded and very consistent. And that's one of the things that was missing with Poopourri, is that on different products, on different scents even, there's different images that were going on and it just didn't feel cohesive. If we scroll down and look at the A+ content with premium A+ content, you can really stop the scroll and get people to digest more of your content. And if we look at this example versus what we have going on with Poopourri, you can see how something like this feels a little more copy paste. It feels a little more cookie cutter. Like the fact that this breaks from here to here, it doesn't guide you. It doesn't feel like it's flowing from one banner to the next. It's causing this disruption with what you're viewing. And so what we want to do is make people feel almost like they're visiting the Poopourri website. Like that's how people should feel when they find your brand anywhere, whether it's in retail or online, whether it's on Amazon. They should feel this same branded feeling everywhere they go. And there's no reason why your Amazon should not look and feel this way. This is the feeling of your brand, and it should be evoked wherever people visit Poopourri. And if it's on Amazon, I want it to feel this way. So this is the part that I'm super passionate about. And I want this feeling to be communicated, because you can tell a lot of time and energy and effort went into this website. And there's so many great assets here that can be carried over. It's just thinking through how you would tell that same story on Amazon and which modules you would choose with your A+ content in order to do that. So that would be my biggest hope for Poopourri on this one. Another client that we worked with, 88 Acres. If you look at this A+ content, again, it just stops the scroll and gets shoppers to pay attention to your content before they hit the reviews, and it tells them things they might need to know about your brand or product. These are the kinds of elements that you can bake into the shopping experience when you're utilizing premium A+ content to the full advantage and making sure that it is giving that branded effect like a D2C website throughout. And so some of the recommendations that I have for you here on your visuals for your product image carousel and your A+ content is, one, there's just an inconsistency going across the entire catalog. There's a lack of show and tell imagery on one of the listings here. This one is just a bunch of flat lay images. There's nothing that's helping to show the customer and tell them something so that they buy this. I might be a Poopourri customer, but I've never even seen these little minis, and I would love a mini. Like, I would love a travel size mini to take with me. So I think this is super smart. You need to tell me a little bit more to get me to buy, because I don't just want to look at a pretty picture, right? So that's where this comes into play. The A+ content we already covered, that's lacking that landing page flow and that cohesive guide that brings you through the buying process. And then there's a huge opportunity to highlight some of the broader use cases that pairs with the SEO, and that's also going to help feed Rufus, right? And help you show up more in search. So things like purse essentials is a broader keyword that's going to be harder to show up for, but there's no reason for you not to be able to capture some traffic from that type of keyword. So a fun fact about A+ content is that Amazon says that you can increase your sales by 8%. We're seeing that with premium A+, you can boost sales up to 20%. Some of our clients have achieved anywhere from 400 to 1,000% increases just with A+ content alone. And our best performing case study, when brands did all three of these steps, saw over 2,500% increase in sales. So this stuff is super crucial. Another bonus item I wanted to throw in here is I did a quick Rufus search to see, like, what are the top line questions? What are the competitive questions? And this is another great way to start baking in these types of responses to these questions in your visuals, because Rufus is able to scan your product images now. And I'm assuming they will be scanning your A+ soon. And that is going to feed those responses into Rufus. We don't want Rufus to not have an answer for your customers. We want Rufus to absolutely be able to answer these questions. Since we know a lot of customers are asking about how long the scent lasts, why don't we just tell them on an image with a little icon of a timer and showing like 5 hours or however long it lasts? So these are the things that you want to think through visually and make sure that these data points are baked into the creative so that you can perform at the highest level on Amazon. I hope you found this insightful. Take care.